In the drink. Trevor the traction engine chanted happily along the road. He liked unusual jobs, and this one was the sort that he did not often get the chance to do. A farmer had some old cherry trees which didn't give fruit anymore, and he had decided to plant new ones in their place. He had telephoned Trevor's owner, the vicar of Wellsworth, to ask if Trevor could pull the old trees out of the ground. "Of course he can," replied the vicar. "He'll be delighted." And so, one bright autumn morning, Trevor and his driver, Jem Cole, were making their way to the farmer. They had some distance to go, so they had started early, and now, about halfway there, they stopped to refill Trevor's water tank from a roadside stream. It was near the railway, and while Trevor enjoyed his drink, Edward, whistling cheerfully, passed with his first train of the day. By 10 o'clock they reached the farm, and the farmer took them into his orchard. There were 3 tree stumps to move. The trees, of course, had been felled already. Trevor's driver used a spade to dig round the first stump, making a hole below the main route. Then he pushed chains through the hole, looped them round, and fastened them to the towing bar beneath Trevor's bunker. "Right," he said to Trevor as he pulled the lever. "Heave!" Trevor struggled to move forward, pulling hard. There was a creaking noise from the tree stump, but it didn't move. "Oof!" panted Trevor. "This is a tough one." He tried again. This time he felt the stump moving a little. At the third attempt, there was a sudden crack. The tree stump came out of the ground in a shower of earth and drops. Trevor jerked forward, the chains clanging and bumping behind him. "That's one," said Jem. "Well done, Trevor. Now for number 2. The second stump was no trouble at all, but the third was harder to move than the first stump had been. By the time it was out of the ground, Trevor felt exhausted. But the work had taken longer than expected, and there was not time to rest. The autumn evenings were short, and if Trevor and his driver were to get back that day, they had to set off at once, because he had no lights for anyone on the road. They stopped when they reached the stream. Jem Cole placed the hose in the water and opened the valve. Thankfully, Trevor sucked the cool water into his tank. As the water flowed in, Trevor's tank became heavier. His wheels began to feel unsteady. Suddenly, without warning, the embankment on which he was standing slipped sideways towards the stream. Trevor's right-hand wheel sank with it. "Help!" he gasped. "Look out!" Jem Cole, who'd been watching the hose, jumped clear. "Ooh!" groaned Trevor, and slowly tilted further and further towards the stream. "I wanted a drink, not a bath." But it did not quite go that far. When the ground stopped moving, Trevor's right-hand wheel was about 2 feet lower than the other one. Quickly, Jem put out Trevor's fire so that his boiler wasn't damaged. Then he let all the water Trevor had just sucked into his tank run away to make Trevor lighter and less likely to slip again. "Now what?" asked Trevor anxiously. "We'll have to be jacked back onto the road," Jem said. "I need a firm platform to work from." Edward's branch line lay just ahead. Men were re-railing the track, and some old sleepers lay on the bank, waiting for Donald to collect them. "What about those sleepers?" Trevor suggested. The foreman of the rail-railing team gave permission, and set some men to help. First they dug into the bank of the stream and placed a sleeper below Trevor's wheel so that he could not slip, and putting the jack on this, slowly raised Trevor, building up both platforms as they did so. At last, Trevor was level again. Jem refilled the boiler water tank and relit his fire. It was too late to get home that night, but there was a farm nearby. Jem went to ask if Trevor could spend the night in the farmyard. By the time he came back, Trevor had just enough steam to move safely off the road. Trevor reached home safely the next day. Now, whenever he goes on a long journey in the future, he is always very careful when he stops for a drink.